Okay, I am not Mark Parado. Hello. Oh, there it is. Whoa. Okay, I am not Mark Parado. Too much hair, as I heard. Um, if I am Mark Parado, I gained a lot of weight. Mark is actually serving on Trace Diaz this weekend, as well as Cameron and Brian. So most of our staff are gone today. Me and Gerald are here. So I just want to introduce myself. Is that too loud? Am I too loud for you guys? Okay. My name is Caleb Buuck, B-U-U-C-K. A lot of people will look at it real fast and think it's Buck. It's not. It's Buuck. Buuck. It's like a ghost. So that's your one-time lesson on it. If you get it wrong, I'm going to criticize you. I'm just joking. I'm not. I get Buuck a lot. I'm a Buuck. My wife plays piano, if y'all didn't know that. We have 2 beautiful babies and another one on the way right now, so 3. So that's pretty exciting. It's really exciting, kind of crazy right now, but anyway. Today, my message is going to be on treating Christ as our Father and having that type of relationship with our Father. And that it means a lot to me. Just I'll give you my background a little. I grew up in a small town in Texas. The whole community could fit in this room. It was tiny, but I grew up in a setting in a church. It was a non-denominational church, but I grew up with. It was pretty fire and brimstone. But I never received that message of having a relationship with Christ. And so for 15 years, I missed that. I was born in that church, and I left when I was like 14 or 15 with my parents. And sorry, my throat is going out, but so I never received that. I feared Christ. I mean, I was fearful every day that I was doing something wrong. It was never presented to me that he was my father, and I should be looking at it like he was my father. And and when you pound something into a dreamer like myself, I just kind of fall asleep on you, and that's where I was at in life, that I didn't understand what it was like to have a relationship with Christ. It was that he was my judge, and he was a harsh judge at that. And luckily, I had a older brother that kind of pulled me out of that and showed me what it was like to have a relationship with Christ and become that. I want to read from Jeremiah chapter 1. Verse 5. They've got it pulled up there. I am reading from the Message just because I looked at like 5 translations, and this was the funnest one. I don't want to bore you guys, but it says, "Before I shaped you in the womb, I knew all about you. Before you saw the light of day, I had holy plans for you, and a prophet to the nations. That's what I had in mind for you." That's intense. That is crazy intense, that God knew your name before your parents knew your name. Every time we have a baby, we think we've got it figured out. We've got the name figured out, and God knew our kids' names before we did. And that is so cool. That is so awesome to me. It's almost mind-blowing, and so God knew Millie's name before Millie is even here, So I don't know, like it's just so, like I want that to be pounded into my kids' heads, that God knew your name before we knew your name. You belong to him more than you belong to me. And that's super hard to say, but it's so true that our babies belong to Christ before they belong to us. And that's so one big thing is knowing that I think our biggest step, and one of the first steps that we take in Christianity and becoming a Christian, is knowing that, and when I learned that God he was like my father, and the way I look at my earthly father, I mean he's awesome, he's a hero to me. He can be harsh, but not really harsh. He's a fun-loving guy, but but to see that, to lay hands on your babies and know that he is their father before you are, and it just gets me every time, and what a relief it is that he knows us, before anything. He's made that way. He's made that process already. Let's move on to 6 through 8. Again, I'm reading through the Message, just because it's pretty cut and clear. Okay, verse 6. But I said, "Hold it, Master God, look at me. I don't know anything. I'm only a boy." God told me, "Don't say I'm only a boy. I'll tell you where to go, and you'll go there. I'll tell you what to say, and you'll say it. Don't be afraid of a soul. I'll be right there looking after you." And that's God's decree. That is, this, Jeremiah, I could live in Jeremiah. Jeremiah is like dreamers of dreamers. Just the whole plot of it for him was dreaming, and God showed him that he's amazing. And so this verse reminds me to never hold back, like as a teenager, I love that verse for our teens that says, "Don't say I'm only a boy." It means that I don't care what age you are, I don't care if you're 2, I don't care if you're 110, that God can use you wherever you're at, and that's, so I'm reading this a couple of days ago, and if somebody could just have, I want to give to my kids what people never said to me, and if they said it, I wasn't listening, and that could definitely be a possibility, because I wasn't the sharpest kid in school, I like to make people laugh and all that good stuff, but God told me, don't say I'm only a boy. If the teens don't hear anything that I'm saying today, hear that you're made. Don't wait around. That's the thing that I take away from that verse is don't wait around, like just because you feel young or people put you in a box. You're not in a box. God can take you straight out of that box, and he will take you straight out of that box. Read my notes here. But so with that verse, just don't wait around. God's already made the way. He is incredible. I just can't say enough about him going before us and achieving pretty much everything. That he knows our life from the beginning to the end. He knows that dash, that we have. Okay, reading on to verse 9 and 10. This is going quicker than I thought. So you definitely won't miss any ball games today. Mark makes it look easy. He really does. it's kind of intimidating. I'm glad the lights are off. It definitely makes me appreciate my position more. So, okay. So verse 9, God reached out, touched my mouth, and said, "Look, I've just put my words in your mouth, hand delivered. See what I've done? I've given you a job to do among nations and governments, a red letter day." That stands out to me the most in this, is that I've given you that red letter day. I've given you that day that I am with you. He is with you every day. And I can't get that across enough, that he has given us. The previous verse says that don't be afraid to have a soul. I mean, how many of us are afraid to have a soul? We don't want to put out our flame. We say we don't want to put out our flame, and then we walk into our workplace. Things get a little awkward, and we kind of hide it a little. I don't want to show that part of me. And I think that's, don't be afraid to show Christ that he's given you everything that you need. He's given you the soul that he wants you to have. I say it a lot, that you're someone else's piece to that puzzle. You could be, and you are that piece to someone else's puzzle. Something so minute could result in something so catastrophic in other people's lives, that you can speak one word to someone, and that is the word that they need to hear. That is the word that they need to put that together, to put that. I mean, God has placed people in our lives, and I know each one of us can think about that one person that has come through, that has added that last piece to that puzzle, and that has just made it so clear, and not clear as mud, as they say in the South, but you just have that red letter day. That's the crystal clear part of that river, is that you having that red letter day. Okay, let me read on. Your job is to pull up and tear down, take apart and demolish, and then start over, building and planning. Let me read that again. Your job is to pull up and to tear down, take apart and demolish, and then start over, building and planning. So what he's saying in there is that he's given us all the tools that we need. I do this a lot, where I'm like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait around for this to happen, or I'm going to wait around for this to happen. I'm going to wait for this amount of money to happen. I'm going to wait around for this wait to happen. Not W-A-I-T, but my wait to be this before I even do this. It's pretty silly that we're waiting on circumstances that are never going to happen. We're our own worst enemies. But through Christ, he has given us every tool that we need to accomplish what he has set us here for. And I don't think that we're only here for one reason. I think that we're here for multiple reasons. I think that we're here for multiple people, multiple lives. I just think that we need to start looking at life more as like we have it already, instead of we need, we want. That we already have what he wants us to have and wants us to need. I'm preaching to myself right now, actually. So that's the big part, that he wants you to have those red letter days. He doesn't want to, he hasn't left you alone. That's one big part for me, is that he hasn't left me alone. He's been there along the way. He just wants me to access him, and he just wants, He just wants to be along for the ride, rather than say, "Nah, dude, you can get in the back seat," you know. That reminds me. So that verse that I jotted down, that it reminds me that it isn't about me. Actually, I wrote, it ain't about me. I was pretty good in English, but I wasn't good in math. That was the big part of high school for me. But and I also wrote down that to give God room, because he wants to bust through everything that you're doing. He wants to shine through you. He doesn't want you to take any of the, he just wants to be what people see through your life. It's not really a credit thing. And I think as humans, we can turn it into a credit thing. Like, oh, look what I've done. When it needs to be like, oh, look what he did through my life. And I think it's easy to take that credit. Like, ooh, I can sing and play guitar at the same time. That's all me. It's not. Trust me, it's not. And I think that's the growing up of it all, is that it's not me, That's the maturity of Christianity, is that when we finally realize that the goodness that we're doing in our lives is not us. It's completely and 100% him. And that's just maturity, really. So to conclude, just to kind of recap, is that what I want you guys to get from this talk is trust God as your Father. I can't say that enough. If you're not looking at Christ as a Father, then you're doing it wrong. Then you're not seeing what he wants you to see. If you're looking at the Father as a judge, he doesn't. We will all have that judgment day. Don't get me wrong, but on an everyday aspect, he wants you to see him as your Father. He wants to come along for the ride. Secondly, don't hold back. That was a big one for the teens. That it doesn't matter how old you are, and that held me back for a long time. That I'll wait until I get this age or that age, and this age or that age never came along, and then I changed the age, and I was battling against myself rather than just letting God shine through, and put yourself to the side. That's another big one, and let God do his own thing. He wants to take the credit. He needs to take the credit. He needs to shine through your life and be the center of your life completely. I know that I'm probably not saying anything just crazy, mind-blowing, but the big part of my message is that if you don't have a relationship with Christ on a day-to-day basis, then you're doing it wrong. Completely. Your babies need it. Your wife needs it. Everyone around you need it. Your coworkers need it more than you probably even think. I'll bless us, and we can beat the Baptists to lunch, as they say. Sorry. God, thank you so much for Living Word Church, and just bless us throughout this week. Show us how we can be a better follower to you. Show us how we can seek you in your guidance every day as our Father. Let us look at you like we look at our earthly father. That you want to see us succeed. You want to see us transform lives. You want to see us transform our own lives. That that you have created each one of us with the soul that we can do anything. We can move mountains with what you have placed inside of us. That you have placed a Holy Spirit inside of each one of us that can do crazy good things. God, we love you and we thank you. In all this I pray. Amen.